avoiding it to happen to you because you don't want it to happen. And the nature of the universe is, it is full of well-being, and we try to project our own idea of what's supposed to happen, and that's what causes misery of some kind. Okay, there is scriptures which talk about what is a human being. A human being is considered a human being because it has 24 elements which make it a human being. This 24 elements is referenced in most religious texts, from the Bible to the sutras to the Mahabharata, to most of the religious texts. They have mentioned the 24 elements. These are the five senses which we have, the cognitive senses. These are the sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. And then you have five exporting senses, where we export ourselves, where we talk, we grasp, we reproduce, we excrete, we walk, we speak. And then there are five gross matter, which is the earth, wind, fire, ether, water, and air. There we go. That's already 15 of them. And then we have five object of senses. Now we can perceive something if we see something. If you don't see it, it doesn't exist. So these things which we exist, every other human being is an object of sense for you. Every bird is an object of sense for you. Every item in this world is an object of sense. If they didn't exist, you wouldn't perceive anything. Okay, these are the 20 elements, and then you have four things which are very important. One is the buddhi, your intelligence, and then you have manas. It's a small me inside you, a small inner you, the inner being as they call it. And then they have chitta, which is the repertoire of all your past experiences. In a way, it is stored as a big C drive. It may not be from this lifetime only, it could also be from a different lifetime. We come to that later. But this, let's say, is your information data bank. And then, of course, the fourth one you have is ego, your desire for separate existence. So when any action has to take place, the small me says, I want to do this. This is my desire. They ask the intelligence, can we go ahead? The intelligence says, yeah, I think that there's no problem. Go ahead. And then he says, before going ahead, just check the experiences you've had before, if they're okay. So they go to the the data bank, and they find out that everything's fine last time they did it, or there's nothing wrong in the experience, let's go for it. But the ego says, no, I don't want to do it. Or if the repertoire says, don't think it's a good idea because last time you did it, you screwed up. But the ego says, no, I want to do it. So the action is done. So that is the whole, it's like a chariot wheel. The four elements control the human mind, and they have to be in equilibrium for it to be a wheel, for you to move forward like a chariot. If one of them is out of sync, it doesn't become a chariot wheel. It doesn't even move forward. You have a little breakdown in the system. But that's one way of looking at it. It's like it's like So as a human being, you access all your thoughts, your grid of your data bank before you take an inspired action or an inspired thought to move forward, because the desire process is an ever encompassing process. The desire process is very important, because without desire there won't be any living. Desire is very important. There was old scriptures, Hindu text, they talk about this old king who was well respected by everybody, and he was the uncle for all these people who were fighting with each other. And they asked him, "Uncle, why are we fighting with each other? We are brothers, we are cousin brothers. Why are we fighting, and for this piece of land?" He's the reason you are fighting for. The main reason is desire. And what is desire? Desire can be explained that you are coming on a path which you don't know where it came from. But behind you are wild animals who are chasing you, and you're running on that path. And it's going, you don't know where. It is the path which you don't know where it's going, you don't know where it came from, and you have wild animals behind you, and you are running for your life. Along the way comes a beehive dripping with honey. You see it on the corner of your eyes, a beehive. You stop, you get off the road and taste the honey. That is desire. All those wild animals, where you came from, where you went there, had no meaning. The fact remained that you had to have that honey. But that is one example of desire, there are many. But in the conscious state, we have three states of the mind. You have the conscious state, you have the subconscious state, and you have the deep sleep state. And there's the fourth state, which is like the Turiya state, which is like a period between the two, all the three states. It's a period, it's a waiting time. So in the conscious state, you have your grid, which is your data bank, with all conscious thought which you can access it, and then you take action or further thought based on what you've got in your mind in that grid. And in the dream state, now you go to sleep. In the dream state, you are accessing now your subconscious also, where you have additional data where you can choose from, which you can compare with. Now, but when you do that, you're using the same elements which you used in your conscious form. That means you're using your 24 elements, what you used for your conscious form, you're using for your subconscious form also. So when you're dreaming, are you actually seeing something? Can you smell something? Can you taste something when you're dreaming? Have you tried dreaming and tasting something? I think if it's a proper dream, yes, you can. I have tasted stuff. I have smelled stuff when in a dream state. So but what I'm trying to say at this point is that using your 24 elements of being a human being, using the same ones in the dream state. So in the dream state, you're using 24 elements. In the conscious state, you're using 24 elements. So which is real? The dream or the conscious state? They are the same. Because what is actually happened becomes a figment of your thought also. That would have been a figment of a thought 2 days ago, or now it's become a figment of thought 3 days later, or 1 day later. So having said that, what I'm saying is it's basically all your thought forms. Even your actions are thought forms for a single moment, for a single day, for a single instant. Then it becomes a thought form. So having said that, the third stage is when your mind is absolutely in zero state. You're not thinking anything. It is as if you are dead. But you're still breathing. You have involuntary muscles going up and down. Your lungs are working. Your heart is working. Everything is great. And actually your mind goes to sleep. It is the same way when it goes to sleep when you're dead. Now, this is all fine. And then there's a fourth state, which is a little more complicated to explain. But let's say this is a state where you have attained all bliss. And then you wake up in the morning, you're back to conscious state, dream state, deep sleep, again the bliss state. So this action keeps going on and on till finally you go to sleep, deep sleep, and you don't wake up. And then you're dead. And your soul and your data bank moves somehow into another body, where it starts the journey again to achieve the lack of ignorance. See, the human mind is supposed to dispel ignorance, whatever they have, in their lifetime, which is a very difficult thing to do. What is ignorance? Basically, let's come to that. Ignorance is the existence. Oh, sorry, let me come back again. What is ignorance? Let's talk about it. The non-perception of the existent is ignorance, or the perception of the non-existent. So something doesn't exist, but you perceive it as if it does, and this causes a faulty thought process going forward. So ignorance is the man's prime purpose on land, on being given this gift of life. Is the main purpose is the complete freedom of all unhappiness, or one can say the purpose of life is joy. You have to be joyful. Your state of mind has to be positive all the time. Your brains have not to be constricted, and you live long and prosper. Enjoy and try to dispel ignorance before you die. That is the objective. Well, very easy said and done. This is the exact what you want to do, but whether we can do it or not, it depends on many circumstances. Environment you live in, do you have the chance to do it? Do you have the luxury to think like that? Otherwise, you're stuck. And another thing, the basis of life is freedom. See, if you're free, you can do all that. But if you're not free, then you are forced to act and react based on your circumstances. Now, freedom means you could be in a small farm, you have your needs met, and you have a small society where you don't rely on the outside economic cycle. So you're quite happy. Your mind is in a free state. But if you're in a city and you got two mortgages, you got a car lien, and you got a line of credit, all these things are called financial slavery. So you're working for somebody. So you have to have that feeling of let me try to protect myself, at all times. You are not restricted to having the luxury of thinking, how can I